Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to LEGO Worlds. Now, which world were we at? I think it wasn't this. I think it's the last one here. Because that would be one with dungeons. And that's the one thing we want to really see here. We're not really anywhere close to potentially getting 100 out of 100 gold bricks. But to even get to the dungeons and potentially start to see the path towards getting 20 would be a nice place to kind of wrap up. Let's just see if there's... I guess there's not really too much blinking, so I'm mostly missing it. There, I just got another achievement. I cannot underemphasize how much I have confused the issue as far as my controllers by getting a Nintendo Switch. Like, I immediately started hitting the B button instead of the A button on an Xbox controller.
Or, to be precise, I love the treasures that they hold. I do not love the skeletons, goblins, spikes, rotating blades of fire, spiders and their cobwebs, bats,
people
lava,
fighting each other,
excessive amounts of fog, brimstone, spooky sounds, and total darkness that you find down there. Oh no, I don't like those one bit.
So we get our intro here.
I love that.
As far as the voice acting, which... It inherently, I would say, Minecraft is just so much smarter about basically letting you start to mine anywhere around you and then dig deep enough and there's a decent chance you'll run into a stream, a cave system. Whereas, like, potentially having to start with a dungeon system and a door to get into a dungeon system is pretty limited. And since this is supposed to be a Minecraft clone, wouldn't it have made a lot more sense to have that core aspect as something that you could really do? And at a certain level, it probably is doable. Like, I probably could have just started with some tool and dug down and gotten into the cave. That's my suspicion. If that's not the case, and we walk through here and it just loads into a whole nother area, that would be weird. But I will say this definitely feels like you're now creating something very different as an experience. And just the doors and the number of steps here have put me very deep into the ground. In a lot of ways, this feels like now they're giving you elements to make your own, like, dungeon experience, which just does not really feel like Lego. Doesn't even feel like the Telltale games that Lego is somewhat based on. Okay. Probably wouldn't hurt to pull out a weapon in this process. What's confusing here is I'm fairly certain there is a jump button, and yet I am not seeing it. There you go. I just hit the right bump and that brought something up. And there's a jump button. What am I supposed to do once I reach that point? Is the question, because it seems like you would have to, at best, jump on this and then jump from here to that. And I'm getting like burnt, it seems like, but it's not seemingly doing any actual damage to me. And we are at a point here where we can break some things and get some studs, but this doesn't feel like this is the end treasure chest that's supposed to exist. Yeah. If you were going to experience something like this in a TT game, a regular Lego Traverse Tales game, you would have a side-scrolling perspective to it. It would be very much handcrafted and designed instead of what is almost certainly just procedurally generated here. This is getting me a lot of bones, to the point where you would expect bones to be some new currency in the game. We see a gold character. And so we've gotten a key. But I guess we have to find the chest for the key. Because at the moment, it doesn't feel like that's... Yeah, it doesn't feel like the key just is a reward in itself, or it's a gold brick. Yeah, it's not really worth it to fight these guys. It's too hard. I could try and pull out a weapon, and that will help me a little bit, I suppose. This looks really dark now, and it's fairly difficult to know where you've been and where you haven't been. If anything, it feels like the game is actively pushing you away from these kinds of regions, but we can hear the tinkle sound effect, which does seem to imply to me that there might be something to collect. It's not like these walls can be broken, so if there's some kind of like secret passage or anything, that would be a whole concept that we just don't know anything about. Should I follow this or this? Why does it look like there's two doors? Was there possibly another door? Where these things like to respawn you? Definitely seems like it's a great way to be confused. because this is a Lego game, you just die anyway, so it's not even like it matters. You can, for the most part, just power through. Let's see, what is like the plus button supposed to do? Like, how would I even pull up the plus that's in the top left corner? Because there's a plus there, and then in the bottom right there's a plus, and as far as buttons, that seems like maybe the D-pad. Yeah, D-pad right tells you your actions. So D-pad down lets you put things away. So those were not plus buttons, those were really, really small D-pad indications. And then these are the chests you break, and they're just in complete darkness. I definitely need the question as to why would the map show us where skeletons are? Is that helpful in some way? Do I have to kill all the skeletons in the entire game? I may have to do that, but they seem like they respawn, so it seems like if you do need to kill the skeletons, and skeletons were just going to be a main focus as a bad guy, doesn't that make a lot more sense? Or wouldn't it make a lot more sense if there was some bad guy who spawned skeletons, who made skeletons a big focus? Yeah, I feel like also I may just have to straight up sky parachute out of this, just, if not to save time, just to get out of this area. Because this certainly feels like a lot. Like punching that doesn't feel like that was something that had to happen. Although maybe punching that is something that has to happen. The game is definitely not giving you the instructions you would need, though. Remember, this is supposed to be a kid's game. So if I, as an adult, am not getting it, that's a problem. That was one of the problems, certainly, of recently playing the Link's Awakening. There's no footage of that because it's a Nintendo game, but I did recently play it, and one of the things about Link's Awakening that's fairly obvious is let's ask a question here. You can't destroy these even once you discover them. Yeah, that makes sense. Otherwise it would be super easy to get through these dungeons. And the walls here and the floors and ceilings of the dungeons are fairly, like, fairly generic. Anyways, as I was saying, like, playing Link's Awakening is a very old game, so there are many sections where the solution to the current challenge is to do something you have just never been trained to do, or never would highly unlikely to actually think of doing. So particularly when I was at like the final boss fight, I had to look up the solution to the final boss fight, because if there had been any character that I had fought that was even close to the way I fought the final boss, it was hours before, and I had long since forgotten about how that worked. Yeah. And the game is relatively short as far as Link's Awakening is concerned, and the fact that even at that I was still forgetting some aspects is a little weird. I see a gold brick now, so, and it would make some sense to earn a gold brick when you cleared out a dungeon. I don't know what I've done specifically that would make it certain that I have cleared out a dungeon, though. Let's go to the map. Let's see. Zoom. Yeah, it's just like you are here. So the top navigation map up there. I can't tell for certain whether there is a dungeon door that I missed, or this is the dungeon door we came in. I think this is the dungeon door we came in from. There, in the middle of the dungeon. And so everything indicates to me, we hear some jingling, we see some characters under the floor. There has to be another floor to this. Is there something we can do to break these spears and make this even slightly safer? Like, I can't even get a long jump. Like, it is kind of odd. Like, I can jump here fine, but then it's a struggle to do that. Whereas you would think that that would be fairly easy to pull off. Alright, let's go. I'm working off the assumption that each of these spawn areas for skulls and skeletons need to be destroyed. And then you have to clear out the entire dungeon. It would be kind of nice, certainly, if there was let's see. Landscape tool, remove. I think we may just have to do it this way. Yep. Yeah, you may just have to destroy the walls to get to where you need to go. Like, there's weirdness abound, certainly, it seems like. So we've broken into the chamber full of skeletons. It feels like there might not be any spawn points. There's another achievement done. They're getting achievements left and right. Watch for much more achievements than most people who played this game. This clearly should have been the hook. Like, you should have, within the first 5 minutes, crashed your ship directly into a dungeon. And it should have been, oh no, this place is too dangerous. We've got to flee now. Run. We gotta get out of here. Type experience. Hold Y to get this. Discover that. There's a stud chest. And that's what we needed the key for, I suspect. And here is the door, so we'll try and leave through that. We really need a weapon. And this is what LEGO games tried to go down, was the idea of just getting a lot of combos, and the combo system now is pretty much forgotten about in favor of first-person shooting. Of course, these guys are tough enough that jumping around and doing one hit of damage will take a while to get the average down. They're not regenerating their health, thank goodness, but you can see how the combo there did not all of a sudden have me punching harder or doing more damage or taking out 2 or 3 people, which would be the next step to a concept like that, certainly. This is the special stud chest. And I guess you probably have to pull the key out. Golden key. Press this. And that got us a bow item. Which I suspect that means that an actual golden piece is either not in this area. Interesting that it has just like different colors that it paints the walls with. But clearly some of this stuff does not get so affected by that, whereas other things do. So yeah, like different colored walls could be used as an indicator for certain. But while the bow may stun lock some things, it doesn't seem like it fully does everything you'd like it to do. Yeah. And I see an indication that there's a skeleton up here. But it may just be above ground. I just have no idea where this even is. It may be easier to simply cheat your way out of an environment like this than to try and look. Let's see. I see a gold brick. If I was to take the landscape tool and add, and then go up and add, and then go up some more and add, and add, and just building stairs. And then come up here and remove. Let's see what that did. Didn't remove enough, but I think it gets us close enough. Let's see if that works. Seemingly no. So there must just not be a chamber up in that direction. You can see with the Lego bricks being tiny little flat plates, there's not a experience quite like the Lego experience you would expect to have compared to Minecraft. Let's see. Let's just destroy down here and see if there's some kind of secret gold bricks here. Doesn't feel like it. Then we're up here. And then, yeah, you can certainly go straight up if you wanted. So where's the gold brick though? Like, and why am I up here when I was down here first? The character itself moved. Boy, does this just get really dark. I'm still seeing yeah, the light still seems oddly just out of place. Right. Am I here? Is there anything lower? Seems like there isn't anything lower. There we go. We found somebody big. This sword seems to not do anything. Cutlass seems to not do anything. This hammer seems to not do anything. Pitchfork. I'm just expecting that this guy would be able to take some damage. Bazooka works. At least it seems like it works. Why can I not fire at the giant troll? Have I already defeated him? Seriously? Yeah. Bazooka seems to not work. Like Cole's hammer, pirate bomb would be, I guess, maybe one thing to think about. Did that hurt the guy? Like, I can't even see. It's like, where are you? Like, if this was supposed to be a Minecraft experience, that you were blowing up the world around you, it really doesn't work. I'm trying to get to the right weapon. This guy is killing me left and right. I honestly just don't think I have anything that can hurt him. Alright. Of course, this totally breaks the idea of a dungeon. Like there's no way you can have a dungeon experience in which you can just destroy the walls. That's where something like adventure mode comes into play in Minecraft. And there's no way to have a Lego experience where you can't break the walls and it still really be an actual Lego experience instead of just being a TT game, Lego minifig game that like all the others. I'm just going to see if I can skydive out of here. I feel like that is the better way. By the way, there is an achievement from skydiving from like the highest point to the lowest point in the game, which would be like the absolute highest and the absolute lowest. Yeah, there's stuff in here. Question is, how do you get into this building? I bet it doesn't particularly connect to the dungeon doors. This guy's just walking over here. So he wants a secret hideout. Meanwhile, I just want to find a way into this building. I guess the solution is still fairly easy. You just come over here and destroy the world. Or eventually you'll open a passage. I just kind of hate this idea. It's not how I play with Legos, for sure. I definitely don't have this desire to play with Legos in which I'd just be breaking Lego sets and taking things apart. That's fairly destructive for a construction game, like a construction toy like Lego. Alright. Alright. And he wants me to build him a hideout somewhere near here. But I'm just gonna quickly come over to the search and type in hideout, and if there's nothing called hideout, then I'm gonna say no to it. Apparently there is a hideout, but I don't know if this is the right one or not. And I hate this as much as I hate destruction, because you're watching this very slow animation, first of all, and you're building what is just an incredibly large thing, and there's a fairly large disconnect there from don't think that was the hideout I was supposed to build. Like, there's a major disconnect from having something pre-built like this and then inevitably putting it in the wrong height, and then potentially going into the brick placement mode and that being being something else. I almost would assume that everything here is something I've already scanned and discovered. This doesn't quite feel like a full build either, which is a weird thing. We're climbing on the walls a lot more than we're walking on the ground, which I think is just another indication of the cramped nature of these designs. Alright, so it doesn't even feel like there's anything in here, which it would make some sense that they wouldn't let you build something that had a chest or something in it. Guess we've done one of the two dungeons that it says exist here. That being said, trying to find anything on this map is practically impossible. Let's go check out the next dungeon just to see if it's all about the same. We didn't run into a very weird dungeon, or that the dungeons are fairly weird, but yeah. It feels like the last bit of new content that you would be expected to potentially even run into this game. Like, there will be obviously little quests here and there, although they seem to have pretty much boiled down to either build something for us or give us a collectible item. This feels very similar to the previous dungeon in appearance. We have a much bigger chamber to start. That's different. We can see we have a considerable amount of studs now, so this is where you would expect to start to see studs getting collected. Wouldn't it have made a little bit more sense, though, for you to have to earn studs in order to build items instead of just being able to build items in general. Right. I feel like these piles of studs should be more. Yep. That's not doing anything. Suppose we could try the musket blunderbuss. Nope. That's not doing anything for him either. So it seems like we're just oddly disconnected from being able to defeat that one type of character. And then, let's see, Bazooka will more than happily destroy both the floor and the things. Although I wouldn't be surprised if the Bazooka actually lets you destroy these chests also. And if you're going in a direction where there is nothing, the Bazooka just makes a shell. Let's see. Definitely feels like you can just run away, though. Doesn't feel like there's too much else, though. Seems like it's the same set of traps, same set of things. I guess the question we would want to look at is, like, if we were to go to discoveries and start to look at the discoveries that are left to be found. In general, there's probably not that many discoveries even left. I imagine we're at somewhere around 50% of items. A lot of these definitely would be in other biomes or just particularly underused. Here's some spikes here we can see. A lot of trees and vegetation. It does feel like there should just be a biome around racing cars, but the car mechanic and car driving mechanic in this game does not feel like it's any better than any of the other Lego games. Alright. Let's see. The bazooka does blow up things. But I don't know if there's a golden key or golden chest around in this dungeon. That may be specifically only in some dungeons, or it may be a case that you just only get one per level. I guess the question is, it says 1 of 2 dungeons cleared. What specifically do you have to do to clear a dungeon? This is where the focus, where I would have gone with certainly would have been is I would have made a game called Lego Dungeons, and it would have been focused specifically on the dungeon creation. Although, in fairness, Minecraft Dungeons is basically a skin of a generic, I guess, dungeon crawler or RPG experience that's particularly linear. And Minecraft Dungeons did not particularly succeed or catch people's attention. Trying to blow up all these guys while I'm next to them is quite a challenge. If it weren't for the annoying sound effects, you basically would not be able to find anything in these dungeons. Everything is just out of the way. And that's a unique way to, I guess, get past lava. But you could certainly be doing this also, just crawling on the roof. You don't seem to have a targeting mode. Oh, no, you do. Alright, how do you get out of that targeting mode? So, no. There's a first-person mode with the left trigger. There's a targeting mode with kind of the right trigger, I think. Like, I can blow this guy into a hole, and that's about all I can do with him. But he is just going to eventually find me and then attack me. Interesting how the music stopped and decided to very swiftly switch to the other song. Feels like there's about 3 songs that this game has. And I don't think I'm going to get into the deep details as far as, oh, the audio is bad. I'll say that the audio sounds fairly generic and unnoticeable. The visuals look awful. Everything is incredibly dark. We aren't having the micro-stuttering issue, and despite the many problems I've had with my computer lately, I don't think this game is causing any kind of crashing or locking up. That being said, I've also been so distracted that it's possible this game could cause some crashing or locking up, and I'm just not going to play enough of it to find out. This still says, though, that we haven't found the thing. And I agree with that because we haven't found a silver key. We haven't found a treasure chest. There's some mummies. Well, that made a sound effect. Was that the thing that needed to happen? Everything's just like paused at the moment. That's a character we can discover as a character. But that doesn't seem like... I'm just hoping this treasure chest opens. I didn't find the key. Alright. If we are here... Come on. If we are here and we didn't find the key, then... And see, I'm trying to, like, switch between weapons. And I'm not really being allowed to do it. It's taking... Alright, bazooka, target, fire. 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 Out of target mode, you didn't have to push left trigger to get out of first person mode, even though you didn't do that. And while this destroyed everything around here, it didn't destroy that. I wish there was a way to bring up the map. There's clearly things. Clearly improvements here that could have been made. Let's see. If we go up here, that seems like that's solid rock. How can we... see. You even put away your discovery tool by pressing the B button, whereas you put away the weapons you're holding with a different button. Okay. Let's take the landscape tool and find that there is some chests up here. So, just up we can go here. This is really all you can do with these dungeons, though, is that you're going to have to just wander around and see if you hear any sound effects. If you happen to hear sound effects, then you're at least running into a chest. What's funny, though, is we're at like 400,000 studs without any kind of score multiplier or anything like that that you would normally see in a regular Lego game. And that's going to afford you, I think, more than enough as far as studs to unlock things. It really feels like 2, maybe 3 dungeons are all you would need to do to completely finish adventure mode and have collected everything. Let's see. Unless there's some kind of secret thing. Yeah, unless you had to, like, very specifically kill a certain percentage of the enemies in an area to make the chest spawn. Let me ask this. If I come over here and just hit X, that actually would destroy the chest. And there's something new we could have discovered. Yeah, you can totally cheat through this. Wow, if you could just X-ray everything in Minecraft like this and look around, Minecraft's levels would be incredibly easy. Horrible, but incredibly easy. Oh, and I just get teleported out. Yeah, I think that's probably as much as I want to do then. Like, I have no interest in trying to wander around that dungeon to try and find a key to get another item under the special list of items, some of which would be gold bricks. I would have to potentially play for another hour, I suspect, to try and get somewhere different. Let's see. Here you have like an ocean world. Let's land in this ocean world and see if we can do something there as far as a biome. There are still 55 achievements that would have to be collected if you were trying to get 100% achievement completion ratio for this game, which is the only thing that Steam ever highlights or cares about, so that's just not likely to happen. It's not like there's been even a good 30 minutes of gameplay in this. It's all been a little janky, a little rough. It doesn't have any story to it.
Junkyard Jungle.
Alright, put this away. And there's just a whole bunch of stuff to potentially discover, as I would guess this is a shipping facility, junkyard, scrapyard, whatever you would describe it as. You can see these Lego cars do not look particularly amazing. Here you have yet another treasure chest style, which that's a mistake. There should be a very consistent Lego treasure chest happening everywhere. There's... Yep. A real feeling here that a lot of this is just like randomly built kind of creative stuff, but a little inconsistent with the rest of the thematic items, because here you just have stuff that has been put together to almost look like something, whereas everything else has been clearly a set that's been more thought out and something that you would actually see in a real world Lego set. I definitely would have to question whether this is a junkyard biome or whether this is a ocean biome. There's nothing in here. This looks like it's a minifig of some sort. Giant statue of a minifig or giant robot Lego. Yeah. You have a giant robot Lego face and a giant arm. And the two may not be particularly connected. May just be that they're both here. Yeah. It's like a Lego arm and an octopus and some other stuff. Then kind of everything else here is ocean. What does this guy want? He wants a photo. Okay, let's see if we can do this. Yeah, the next thing would have been to get the lantern. So you know that I wasn't even supposed to have been in. Like I wasn't even supposed to have been in the dungeons yet until I had gotten 2 more gold bricks. Although maybe it's more of a case of that they actually did intend for you to go into a couple dungeons first, and with the lantern not being an option. But I almost would demand something like an abilities where you started off with the lantern then lost it at the beginning of the game, so you kind of knew that you weren't going to yeah, if you'd started off in a dungeon, started off with all the items, then there might have been more of an interest in continuing to play that way. So she just gave me binoculars. I thought you were going to give me... Oh, well, I guess I do now have binoculars. Which... Was that the thing, though? I thought you were going to give me a gold brick. So wants an vantage point. So seems like I could build possibly anything that's tall, but it might be very wise to build one of the very first things. We have 400,000, so if I was going through this and I needed to unlock anything, it would be pretty easy to do that. Yeah, of course, marking things as found is not worth my time. Let's just see if we can find something. Like, what happened to that very first build? How many people did we find overall? And we were struggling to unlock the Santa sleigh for 100,000, but going through 1.5 dungeons accomplished that. We are about halfway through. Alright, Jewel Thief's Hideaway. Alright, let's see if we can build this and if they'll appreciate that. Vantage points to see if we were followed. It feels like what they really want me to do is build something up like this. That doesn't seem like that's right either. We had this whole pirate tower. Notice how it just very awkwardly drops you around, too. So I guess that counts. Now we have dynamite, maybe permanently. We gotta get our swag packed into some jewel crates.
The objects that you need for this quest are definitely nearby. Have a good look for them. Look high. Look low. Look medium.
We've
They're
already gotten
usually
this line
hiding
of
in plain
dialogue.
sight.
Okay. But we've potentially wrecked everything here by building on top of things. Stud crate. Copy. What kind of would need to happen here, I think, is that things would have to get destroyed if you make a mistake. There'd have to be fairly specific places where you could place things, or you could only build things in your own world and not randomly in every world. That's not very Minecrafty, certainly, but at least for adventure mode, I think that's how that would have to go. Otherwise, you're gonna just destroy things. I would say there is definitely a case that in Minecraft, compared, like when you see Minecraft played by YouTubers and people who have scripted things out and kind of know what they're doing, and are working together to make really good content, you're seeing a very different experience compared to what a random group of little kids playing Minecraft might experience. Little kids would be just running around griefing each other for the most part. And that's not something you would have to worry about as much as a YouTuber. Or if they are griefing each other, it is being done as part of a scripted experience that they... There it is, way up here. Yeah. It does seem like I was very close to losing. Right, jewel crate copy. Place. 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 So we go from Observer Builder all the way to
Finder Builder.
Finder Builder. We would need another 5 ranks. We're gonna
Now
get
that you
anything.
have 20 gold bricks, if you head back to the rocket, a special item awaits you. Something that will light up the darkness.
Yeah. And so I think there's definitely more of this that was made, certainly for adventure mode, all the way up to 100 bricks, but I don't think it's going to be much different. Oh, this
Special
is kind of
item
like a great
unlocked.
example.
Lantern. Helpful when you are going into very dark places, like caverns, caves, and dungeons. It'll light up your world.
It is really just like a perfect example of people testing this game with all the items unlocked and not realizing the nightmare that an average player would have to do. And of course, if adventure mode never existed, everything would have been unlocked at the beginning. The next one is called Sky Spinner, which I think is probably a rocket pack, grapple gun, block gun. I don't know what block gun would specifically do compared to like bazooka. Jetpack. I don't know what Sky Spinner is then if there is a jetpack. But even when you get to 65 gold bricks, you are done. As far as other items, there's quite a lot of them of this secondary inventory style. And it seems like you still would need 25 gold bricks to go any further. And I just don't think there's any more game here. Winter Wonderland, a adventure mode area, again what looks like an ocean biome. This interface is also still very awkward. And we're going a little long today, but I think the adventure mode, the worst part about it, above everything else, is how awful it really is to explain how the game works and how the game should be played. That is just kind of silly that you're not going through a tutorial mode, which is all adventure mode really should be, fairly quickly. Like the entirety of adventure mode really feels like something that should have been an experience that only took 2 hours, 3 hours to just jump you into the open world Minecraft type experience. See, this is the same lady with the same quest, I would suspect, even. So we're starting to potentially see repeated quests, and it might be a case that once you've done this quest correctly in one place, you would only be able to get 1 gold brick from it. And so that each of these randomly generated worlds may actually be... this water looks different. Each one of these randomly generated worlds may actually be pulling from a list of quests. Or maybe not. Maybe you will potentially does this guy want a fish? I think I probably have a fish. Can I not? Interesting. You can just ride blackfish, but you seemingly cannot talk to the guy unless you have a fish. But yeah, this is just an empty land. Yep. This isn't a good start for building your own world. It's not big enough. It's not got the chunk spawning of Minecraft. There's no secret dungeon in the middle of this. Doesn't even really feel like there's any enemies on this world, so it does seem fairly silly. We could talk to people. I don't even know what this is as far as that item. This one just wants a picture, maybe of a skeleton. I almost want to redeem myself by trying to do this quest again, but let's think about this a little bit further. You do that one quest, you get 1 gold brick. Then you have to run back here and hop into the ship and then just try and discover another random world. With Winter Wonderland kind of constantly spawning in here. And a real question as to why Winter Wonderland is constantly spawning in here. This might actually be an ocean world. But then you look at these worlds and they all say 0 gold bricks on them, even. Well, which maybe means just the number of gold bricks you found on them. Like, let's be a sucker and go to this. This one actually does look like it might be a different kind of ocean biome. But we're really wasting our time. And I don't know a way to not feel like LEGO Worlds is just a waste of time. It is uniquely different and uniquely the worst LEGO TT games I've ever played. That is in part ignoring some of the micro-stuttering frustrations which have long since plagued me on covering some of the other LEGO games. Because definitely that would have been a lot more frustrating at the moment.
Desert.
This is a desert. Something just happened there. But interesting, the water eventually shifts.
Submerged secrets.
So that is a different biome. Let's see. No, can we use the lantern though? Because you still can't see anything. And this together. I feel like the answer is probably no. So, feels like you'd have to be in swim mode. I'm crashing into things and it's making this very difficult. I would be potentially interested in seeing how you could get a gold brick quest underwater like this. And I don't know if there actually are gold bricks underwater. That would almost imply that you would have to have the ability to talk underwater to fish and aquatic life. And there's no real reason why you would be able to do that. I will say the LEGO underwater sets sometimes can look pretty cool, but a lot of times they feel kind of like stretching, kind of overly ambitious for what you really can do with Lego. I have no idea if I'm in a cave now. Yeah. As soon as I jumped out of the cave, that's when the lantern started working. We're back into like the candy stuff. I thought I was gonna have to blow up things, but I don't have to blow up things. I can just choose to blow up things. But it feels like you also lose your opportunity to light things. Come on. Zoom out. Find some water. Swim up. By holding A, not tapping A. So the actual quest is this gingerbread man will give you something. Or we could chase this guy for one more. Notice the camera feels awful. Come on. Catch him before he swims away completely. It would make a lot more sense if those mischief makers were the minions of some major bad guy. So there should be like a mother mischief maker or a master mischief maker as a character. And I just thought up both of those names off the top of my head. And that would make a lot of sense. Even like this witch lady, wacky witch here. Like, seems like you can't hurt her to discover her abilities. Or discover her. Alright, well, I have had enough of that. Let's see, save and exit world. Yep. So, do we really need to play in sandbox mode for another hour, even? Is the real question. How many items have we found? 700 discoveries? That's probably about 300 more than the average player, I would suspect. Alright. Let's see. Add-on content, showcase, enter codes, already saved, settings, play online, galaxy map. Let's look at the galaxy map and see if we can spread around a little bit more. Yeah, clearly there are things that would unlock if you got the gold bricks in adventure mode. Let's sandbox mode. Achievements cannot be unlocked in sandbox mode, so that would be one limiting factor, certainly. These look like they might be the same worlds, but I honestly don't know. Like, I don't know which would even be a good sandbox mode, because you need a fairly flat, fairly safe world and fairly empty. What oddly it seems like you can't do. Right, you could create a huge world, right bump, and then if the controls want to work, we could look at any biomes. Have we missed any of these biomes? Probably. Like, there is a decent chance that we've not seen a few of these biomes. You can see the Winter Wonderland is its own biome added in DLC, and it's too busy of a world to be a biome. And so super flat sandbox mode. Everything at this point should be unlocked. You should be able to just play Lego in a digital form factor, which almost certainly is going to make everybody realize that playing with Lego in a digital form factor is a mistake. Like, I literally was putting together a small Lego set just an hour ago in the real world, physically. And I had more fun doing that than I think I would have doing this digitally. Right. So these start off with, let's just go through everything and see if there would have been anything super cool to consider. A lot of these I don't even know what they are without the description. Like a cell alarm system and a cell vent definitely makes it feel like you're supposed to make some police cell, prison cell, but there's no gameplay mechanic around that. You have a number 1 sign and a number 2 sign and a fire station sign and fire station symbols. These probably are real world Lego pieces. You'd have to be fairly creative with that. Octane is interesting because at one point there was a Shell Corporation cross promotion and they were Shell gas stations in Lego sets forms, and then there was complaints about how Shell did their business, and Lego decided to switch to a made up gas station called Octane, and that has just been the canonical gas stations, and it works, I think, better. Saves Lego from having to defend the potentially shady business practice from of gas stations. But they definitely want gas stations because they want vehicles, although give it a few more decades and kids probably won't even know what vehicles are. They have made a couple sets around electric vehicles, so gas stations would be out at that point in favor of charging stations. Apparently these stocks were part of more of a spooky graveyard theme. It was very weird to find the stocks and discover them and not find anything else. You can see how this game also continuously jumps towards the mouse input. I should try to play this with the mouse, actually. Let me just see how that feels. Well, if you have a mouse wheel, you can certainly scroll down, but you have to have the mouse over something to scroll down. You can see there's a ridiculous amount of dungeons. This definitely does feel better. Laundry at sign. I think Lego vehicles tend to be pretty bad, pretty small and lacking in details, unless you're talking about expert level vehicle remodel models that are like $150 each, and even those don't look particularly as good. It's a lot easier to make a building that's square out of square Lego bricks than it is to make a rounded edged Ferrari type car. This is just called Old Bones. Out of Lego bricks. And the Lego Technique series, I think, still exists in the minds of Lego creators, and so they want to use Lego Technique designs to make cars that tend, in my opinion, to make the the Lego cars not look as good as they would look. But in a lot of ways, Lego wants to be the toys for everything, whether you're playing with cars, where in reality, if you wanted to play with toy cars, you're better off with Hot Wheels, probably. Maybe Micro Machines or something like that. Because those cars tend to work a little bit better, and they can actually roll on the track, and that they're not going to just crash and fall apart like a Lego toy car would. And honestly, Lego bricks are kind of easy to break. They're cheap, but Hot Wheels toy, in comparison, you can smash that around and maybe you'll dent it or scratch the paint on it, but it would still not break off any important piece. So you have all these characters unlocked. Yep. All the TT games have always tried to have vehicles. It's almost certainly negotiated by Lego as part of the licensing, but it doesn't work. Skateboards, things like that. I don't know why you need a skateboard and Skater Girls skateboard, but whatever. Like little things like that. Skateboards, bicycles, motorcycles. I think that's where vehicles best shine in the Lego sets. When you start to get to crazier things, bigger things, that's when it looks kind of weird. Like this one is probably a pretty weird design. And then you have just straight up major sections that would vary wildly as far as what you could craft and how big it would be. It would be interesting certainly to find out like what is the biggest thing. This is probably one of the biggest things because this is literally based off of a Lego set. And this is, I guess, where you would go with this is you would want to potentially be able to almost drag and drop your Lego pre-built sets around and plan out where you were going to put them in some kind of like display center. The problem with that is that only makes sense when you're someone who has a ton of Legos like me, who has actively had to buy like a considerable amount of furniture to set up a Lego city. That is not the experience that most kids will ever be allotted or allowed, because it would just take up too much square footage and be too expensive as far as all the sets that are that you'd have to buy. Let's see. Can I move around here? I will say mouse and keyboard does definitely feel like the way to go. Here you have legendary corridor fragments, which look like QR codes. Legendary coordinate fragments. What is that? Just puts it down this way, so the only way you could possibly see it is from falling from the sky, possibly. Like, I don't think the mini map would actually let you scan that. And it definitely feels like there's a lot of different colors for different legendary coordinates. And then here we have the legendary 1x2 brick, which is its own big gold brick build. Alright. That being said, I don't want to do like a WASD and learn that. Maybe you could zoom out enough on this. That being said, I don't know if you can actually scan something like this with the pieces on top of it, or if you would have to try some way to clean things up. And inventory wise, we can turn on the lantern and that improves things slightly, but oddly, I guess maybe the sky spinner is what you have to use. How do we use it? Hold to spin the sky to go from night to daytime. Alright, well, we now know what the sky spinner does. Grapple hook gun. Let you grapple up to the top of something. Let's see. Block gun. Let's see. Makes blocks. Add something. Jetpack lets you fly, which again, that feels like something that you should have had by default. And then in Sandbox Mode, you just have 99 of everything. I would have no idea which of these would actually be able to defeat a troll. Is it just the troll club? Or is there some other guns that would also be in that same category? What does a soccer ball do? Doing keepy uppies by default. And then once you kick it, it's just a ball that is on the ground, semi-permanently placed. These are all Lego accessory items, but they still feel very odd that they are not connected to the other Lego items in the game. Let's see. I assume a snow dragon egg would lead to a snow dragon spawning, but apparently not. In Minecraft, that certainly would have spawned a snow dragon, but yeah, doesn't seem to work that way here. And then with all the characters unlocked, you can play as any number of characters. Here you have Agent Trace, Agent Chase from the Lego Cities. Here you have more generic characters from other sets. Ninjago characters. Generic construction workers. Feels like these characters needed a better way to be unlocked, even in adventure mode. And you can certainly make your own custom character, but again, these features feel like they should have been unlocked from day one. Like from the beginning of the game, even in adventure mode, you should have been able to create your own character and love your own character. Whereas there might be a decent effort to encourage you to switch between characters. There will definitely be a percentage of people who would only want to play the character that they built and they made. And then you have these weird attachments that seemingly don't actually give you any effects, which I guess is fine. And the same is true for like the capes. Probably not going to give you flight. You definitely see a problem here where if this is a real world Lego set, you're not going to have the camera in quite zoomed in enough to really appreciate the $100 plus that a set like this would be in the several hours that it would take to put together in a set like this. This is an actual Lego set, so I can tell you, for instance, that somewhere behind here was a secret panel where you would put money, Lego money, dollar bills, $100 bills, and it would fall and filter and get laundered into the back of the police station, which is on the other side of this wall, because that is where the evidence is stored. So there's a whole like bank vault here. But there's definitely things that don't look as good. I don't think this chandelier, for instance, up there looks as good as the actual set does. These Lego $100 bills here would go like, yeah, there's these little lockers and stuff are just things that would swing, but you can't interact with them in the real world in the video game version. And there's little stickers and little details that are missing here. There are minifigs that came with this set that are not included. Barely even tell that this is a bank. I don't know. Was I calling it a police station? Yeah, it's actually a bank. It's a really nice set. Like, particularly some of the stained glass and the chandelier. It's a very, very nice set. It has this nice comedic soap and suds. I believe there's nothing else beyond that, even though it kind of looks like there's 4 separate buildings here. It's just that there's the first floor of the bank, and then the second floor of the stairs of the bank, and then the bank's manager's office. If this was an actual set, this would be quite a bit of bricks. Like, this would be a great set to come out with if you just wanted to buy a whole bunch of Lego bricks and go with that construction. It'd be fairly redundant and repetitive, though. And inside of this, you have lockers that I assume there would be some kind of guns or something in it. You have a jail cell with a bed. One of the things, besides just not generally wanting a police station in my own personal Lego city, I'd prefer to think of Lego City as a place that doesn't need a police station. But one of the things on top of that, as to why I've never really been interested in buying a Lego police set, is because it tends to be a fairly small build, and even this is a fairly small build, but the ones I've seen for sale have been even smaller than that. Whereas this wouldn't be terrible. Plus, it gives you a nice advantage if you have some cars, having some parking lots. It's kind of hard to get parking lots without having to custom build it. Then, if this was a set, for instance, as far as a Ferris wheel, it looks like there's no real specialization or little bits of intriguing add-ons to it. It's just a big wheel with the exact same carriage cards repeated multiple times, and you don't want that level of repetition really in a Lego set. So you can get in here and you can open the door, but you can't sit down, you can't get it to spin. This would actually be a pretty terrible set. It's not even visually particularly good. Now the good news is there are a couple of real-world Ferris wheel sets. One that's very big and one that's slightly smaller. And I decided to purchase the slightly smaller one because the very big one failed to really fit the scale. Like, when you look at the scale here of this bank, this is twice as tall as a 2-story building, and that's too much. Yeah, I have no idea how you would be able to do this unless you have to connect these different QR code pieces together, and then it clears everything up after you have multiple pieces together. Alright. But yeah, we've gone a little long, and I think that's more than enough with LEGO Worlds. Like, you can't... I don't think the game can get me passionate enough to hate it and just rage quit it, because A, I've been able to distract myself and play other games, and B, because, well, it's still LEGO. It is not good LEGO, but it's not like it's causing me to die all over and over again, and that it's like way too frustrating. I think it is weird that we have this thing that would require 100 gold bricks to unlock. Yes, these are the pictures we've taken. We could check that out. We could constantly try and find random worlds, but it seems like the way this goes is you find a random world, you pick one, once you've played it, it becomes one of your save files forever. As far as online, I don't think there's any reason to play online, because there's just not any reason to play at all. As far as online content, I just don't think there's any reason to spend money on the online content. Inevitably, I might accidentally buy the LEGO Worlds Online DLC, but I'll try to avoid that and save myself a few dollars. So yeah, I think we kind of leave it at that. Adventure mode kind of sucks. It doesn't teach you a better way. Like, the first thing the tutorial probably should have said is, hey, this is a game designed for mouse and keyboard. We know you're playing on a computer. We know you have a mouse and keyboard. Play with that instead of a controller. We'll let you play with a controller if you want, but this is something that is going to require the precision of being able to move a mouse around when placing sets. Of course, then the second problem with that thought is that they then need to make the rest of the gameplay mechanics really make a lot of sense with mouse and keyboard, and I don't know if that's the case. If I was doing the dungeon running and jumping and hacking and slashing with a mouse and keyboard, I don't know if that would really play well. And the whole dungeon stuff really should just be its own separate mode instead of being just a section. The sandbox area, by the way, that we just built, no real way to make a dungeon there. No easy way. I have the components to make a dungeon. I could dig into the ground, certainly, which is their justification for all the ground being so elevated, but you would have to excavate and build every single wall, and it just doesn't seem like anybody would really do that. Feels like there should have been an entire mini game around the idea of creating your own dungeons or having dungeons randomly spawn. I could have even seen it potentially have been a case where you walk through a dungeon portal and get teleported to a completely different game. But yeah, they didn't do that. They didn't do a lot of things. They abandoned LEGO Worlds, and the player base, I would suggest, should abandon it, and I think mostly did when you look at the achievements and see that less than 21% of players even got to 15 gold bricks in adventure mode. That may That percentage may also be an indicator that since everybody was playing in the sandbox mode that existed before adventure mode was added, because it was added at the very end of a long-running early access period, it may be that there was a higher player base that did play this game, but they were only playing in sandbox mode. As for using it as a program, I will once again say it's not good if you are trying to organize your Lego and move things around. You should just actually physically touch your Lego and move those things around. Or if you were trying to build a Lego set that you were going to try and piece out and or even submit to the Lego Ideas website, there are better simulation apps for that. Yeah. So I'm very lacklusterly lacking energy here. I'm saying I just don't like any of it, but I don't have any passion to hate it either. I wouldn't recommend it though. Go play any other Lego game, even one of the bad ones, like Lego The Hobbit that doesn't even have DLC, the last part of the DLC that wraps up the story on Steam. Even that would have been a better experience compared to the Lego Adventure mode in this. Anyways, that's going to be it for this series. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.